Hello, YouTube and X. It's your main man, BTM here, bringing you back to the BTM Crypto News Network. So thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and super chat. But let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. And as always, don't get shaken out. Continue to diamond hand, guys. I know there's a lot of pressure coming and a lot of confusion and a lot of sell pressure, but I told you guys, right? I told you this would happen. You just got to be patient and continue to hang in there because they were telling us we knew this was going to happen. So just don't panic and continue to hold. And let's get to the news. So, with the government shutdown looming in the background, there's definitely a lot of pressure in the market. And we knew with the beginning of the year coming, there was probably going to be a black swan event, as I mentioned previously. But I just want to check the sound. We're good. So, yeah, continue to diamond hand, guys. So let's get to it. Let me start the screen share and see what we can see. But this is where the conviction kicks in. Are you convicted in the project? Are you for XRP? Or you just think it's going to be here? You think it's going to go away? There's too much behind XRP, guys. The project at this point is too big to fail. But shout out to Caleb and Brown. Caleb and Brown is the BTM Crypto News sponsor. Thanks, Caleb and Brown, for sponsoring the channel. And thank all you guys that are signing up. If you're new to crypto, right, and you want to get someone that can help you with your crypto account, let you know which crypto currencies to buy or to research or to hold. And again, do your own research, right? Do your own diligence. Don't just take my word for it, but make sure you know what you hold. But Kevin Brown gives you 24/7 support, gives you a live human. You don't have to talk to a recording or an automated system. And they give you a personal broker, so your broker gets to know you, gets to know what you're trying to do, and how to help you along the process. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Keeping it moving, look at the bubbles. Looks like the bubbles are bouncing back. It was all red this morning, but now looks like there is some movement to the upside. Aerodrome Financial is up 1.4. Trump coin is up 1.3. Filecoin is up 2.4. 2.5, sorry. Bear is up 8.2. What the freak? ZK is up 0.9. Nero's up 3.4. AVAX is up 1.4. Cosmos Atom is up 2%. Algorand's up 0.8. FET is up 0.5. Litecoin is up 1.4. Gala is up 1.2. Safe is up 1.2. Helium's up 4.9. What is this? XPR? XPR is up 0.1. Lithium is going crazy, up 17.7. Swarms is up 4.9. Jasmine is up 2.1. Satoshi's is up 4%. World Mobile Token is up 14.3, up 0.2 on the hour, up 25% on the week, 42.2 on the month, still down 73% on the year. SQD's up 5.6. Bitcoin Cash is up 0.9. Ordinary is up 1.8. Pith is up 1.1. Arbitron's up 1.1. Zebek is up 0.8 on the day, 0.5 on the hour, down 12.3 on the week, up 8% on the month, up 143 on the year. Let's go. Hash flows up 4.2. Canaan Networks up 3.3. If you haven't seen the video, go check it out. Kind of goes into the Canaan Network in the Wall Street connection. Monero's up 3.2. Ondo's up 2.7. Ethereum Classic is up 1%. XVC is up 11%. Solana is up 2.2. Ton's up 1.5. Pi is up 4.3. And we'll go over to the big boys. ICP is up 0.5. Bitcoin is up 0.3, up 1.6 on the hour, up down 6.8 on the week, down 4.1 on the month, down 18.9 on the year, down to 84,111. People are saying it might get down to 77,000, 70,000. It's going. Ethereum is down 1.4 on the day, up 1.6 on the hour, down 7.9 on the week, down 8% on the month, and 11.1 on the year, back under 3,000 to 2,741. And of course, our favorite cross-border payment processor, the payment processor of the future, XRP is up 1.8 on the hour, down 0.4 on the day, down 8.4 on the week, down 4% on the month, down 43.2 on the year. So let me know what you guys think about that. Here is an article. XRP price outlook ahead of possible government shutdown. XRP faces bearish momentum, trapped in a descending channel pattern. Fear of government shutdown decline, which reduces market uncertainty on XRP. Solana's ETF and Ethereum are on the rise. XRP experiences outflow. I mean, people are selling the XRP, which is weird. XRP's price is facing significant pressure ahead of potential government shutdown, with notable 7% pullback. The price dropped below the key 1.8 support, now testing the $1.70 mark. The fall is a bigger part of the general dynamics, general market dynamics, which has been impacted by regulatory changes and institutional actions regarding XRP ETF. The highs of the XRP was previously around $1.90 to $2, were all wiped out. The total crypto market dropped 5.95%, and the total market cap is currently around 2.81 trillion. The coordinated sell-off, which is forcing the unwinding of the leverage long positions, has led to liquidations of more than 1.7 billion as major exchanges in Wales. Bitcoin fell below the 85,000. Ethereum traded under 3,000, falling by 7%. These actions underscore the prevailing microeconomics and geopolitical events that have driven the decline in the cryptocurrency coins. The U.S. government threat eases. Now, the U.S. government threat has decreased after new developments in the Senate. President Trump has achieved a bipartisan consensus with the Democratic lawmakers. Such a deal will avert another government shutdown. The office of Chuck Schumer has reported that the agreement has been negotiated by lawmakers. Nevertheless, the conflict regarding the finance of support of ICE and the immigration enforcement restrictions persist. These problems remain the existing impediments to the discussions. This notwithstanding, the fear of the government shutdown has reduced considerably. So XRP plunged 3% as ETFs bleed a record 93 million. What is going on? So as you can see, oh, there's no article here? Oh man, really? Really gotta make a sign up. So I guess we're not reading that one. XRP ETFs outflows at 53 million. Is the $8 Standard Chartered target still realistic? Quick read. XRP recorded largest single day outflows on January 2026 with 53 million in redemptions led by Grayscale. XPR Fund 55.3 million out. Inflows resumed within days of January 20th outflow, suggesting a one-time de-risking event rather than structural exits. Standard Charter's $8 XRP target required a $4 billion to $8 billion in ETF inflows, while the current accumulated inflows total 1.2 billion. Are you ahead or behind on retirement? It's a commercial. XRP ETF outflows totaling 53 billion on January 20th marked the largest single day redemption since the product's launch in November 2025. The sell-off came as part of a broader 1.73 billion weekly exodus from crypto investments products, raising fresh questions about the Standard Chartered's $8 XRP target for 2026. On the surface, these XRP outflows weaken the case for steadily institutional demand, but the bigger picture is mixed. XRP ETFs still taking in over 1.2 billion since launch. Inflows resumed within days, and exchange-led XRP remains near multi-year lows. Here's what the recent volatility means for the path towards or away from the ambition price. XRP's outflow built an impressive track record through late 2025 and early January 2026. The products went 35 consecutive trading days without a single redemption. Since Canary Capital XRPC launched on November 13, 2025, that streak ended with a modest 40.8 million on January 7th, which markets quickly shrugged off as profit-taking after XRP rallied 25% in a week. On January 20th, XRP outflows were different. At 53.3 million, they marked the largest single-day redemption in the XRP ETF history. Grayscale's GXRP accounted for nearly all of the selling, recording 55.39 million outflows. Franklin Templeton's XRPZ partially set off with the damage, 2 million in inflows. Other issuers, including Canary, Bitwise, and 21 shares, saw flat flows. Also, it's important to check the timing. January 20th came after the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend, during which the president threatened tariffs on European NATO members. When U.S. markets reopened, the risk assets sold off hard. Bitcoin ETFs lost 126 million. that day. Ethereum shared 230 million and XRP 53 million outflows are part of a broader 1.3 billion weekly exodus from crypto investment products, the largest since mid-November. How the market responded to the ETF outflows. What up, Marcus? I'm loving the discount added more today, 1.76. I didn't catch today's bottom, but do we ever? Timing the market is nearly impossible. And you are right. And yes, I've been eating up the dip, bro. Eat the dip. The ETF outflows tested XRP's support structure. The XRP price dropped from above $2 to briefly $1.80 on January 25th, before recovering to $1.85, $1.90 range, where it consolidated since. Inflows resumed within days. After the inflows, January 21st, 23rd, approximately 12.6 million returned to XRP ETF. Bitwise emerged as the main stabilizer, posting 8.69 million weekly inflows, including 3.43 million single-day inflows on January 23rd. Cumulative flows were launched, now sit approximately 1.1 billion with a total AUM of nearly 1.3 billion. So let's look at the prices real quick. So we're up 2.69 on the hour, down 0.05 on the day, down 7.49 on the week, down 2.88 on the month, down 28.7 for 90 days, and down 43.14 on the year to $1.78. So it is pulling back a little bit. Market cap for the total crypto market is 2.81 trillion, down 5.56%. CMC 20 is $174.12, down 5.74% on the day. Fear and greed is pushing closer to fear at 28. Altcoin season 28, so we're pulling away from Bitcoin dominance. And crypto average RSI is 35.81 to oversold. And CoinMarketCap says we're at $1.77, down 0.05 on the day. Market cap is 108.14 billion, down 0.05 on the day. 24-hour trading volume is 4.9 billion, up 12.15 on the day. So before I get into the inflows, I need to check something real quick, so I'll be right back.
So we just witnessed.
So I'll play this video. Give me a couple minutes.
Another huge update from G Treasury. Now we'll go over it. Obviously, it's not new news, but I want to really highlight a few of the facts behind G Treasury to give you guys an update on just how big this really is for XRP. So in order to do so, let's go back to the official announcement that G Treasury officially became part of the Ripple stack. For over 40 years, we've helped Treasury teams manage complexity and optimize liquidity. Now we are bringing that same approach to the digital asset era by giving our customers the option to access real-time settlement and institutional-grade infrastructure through the platform they trust. The future of corporate treasury has no friction, no boundaries. We are so excited for what's ahead. Now, to highlight this, Brad Garlinghouse made a post regarding this acquisition. The main focus is the fact that they're breaking into the $120 trillion corporate treasury payments market. Now, we also have, the past few years have reminded this industry why payments first and foremost is the primary use case for crypto and blockchain. Payments are where Ripple first started for exactly these reasons. The infrastructure is complex, siloed, and inefficient, but as we know, perfectly positioned to benefit from decentralized financial technologies. Astounding amounts of cash are trapped in outdated payment systems, creating friction, unnecessary cost, and barriers to entering new markets. This is what they're changing. On top of G Treasury, now integrating with Ripple, they're also allowing CFOs to access and manage all of their assets, including stablecoins, tokenized deposits, all at scale around the world with Hidden Road tapped in. Now, I also go over here. This is a post from January 20th. This highlighted the move that Ripple made. Legacy Treasury operates 9 to 5, but your business runs 24/7, 365. That gap cost you in idle cash that could generate returns and cross-border payments that rack up fees. Ripple Treasury changes the equation by combining G Treasury's leading platform with enterprise-grade digital asset infrastructure. You gain real optionality. Traditional rails when optimal and blockchain settlement when advantageous. It's all about adding strategic choice. The CEO of G Treasury and also the Chief Product Officer of G Treasury on January 28th at 10:30 a.m. EST. Now this already passed. They essentially were talking about rail agnostic operations delivering cost savings, 24/7 liquidity access, and competitive advantages. You'll learn about Ripple's enterprise infrastructure regulatory compliance across 75 plus jurisdictions, institutional grade custody, ISO 20022 compliant rails reaching 90% of the global FX markets, G Treasury's evolution, 100% earnings and reinvestment, doubled innovation capacity, expanded platform solutions, including AI capabilities, production use cases, unified visibility across traditional and digital assets, overnight yields, and faster cross-border payments, all within your existing workflows. And this is all based around Ripple Treasury. Now, before we really dive on into this, I just want to let you guys know that with gold and silver going absolutely parabolic recently, you could buy both gold and silver as well as crypto all on iTrust Capital's platform. This is all based in an IRA account. That's right, fully tax advantaged. Buy, sell crypto, gold, silver 24/7, low cost, no monthly fees. And you can also tap into their institutional custody account, which is one of the best accounts in the game right now because of its closed loop system. If you guys do want to go check this out, you guys are more than welcome to down in the description below, as well as in the comments below. Yes, I am sponsored by iTrust Capital. However, I have been utilizing their platform far before I was even sponsored by them. So if you guys do want to go check it out, like I said, links are down in the description below, as well as in the comments below. Now let's dive on back into the video. So of course, yes, we do have the announcement. This happened on the 27th. Today, we are proud to introduce Ripple Treasury, powered by G Treasury, the world's first comprehensive treasury platform combining 40 years of proven enterprise expertise with cutting-edge digital asset infrastructure. Many finance teams are stuck managing growing complexity with fewer resources constrained by outdated legacy infrastructure. The main focus here is moving away from legacy and traditional to much more efficient digital-based infrastructure. That's where Ripple Treasury comes into play. Ripple Treasury changes that equation with unmatched innovation capacity. With Ripple's backing, we reinvest 100% of earnings into platform innovation with zero debt constraining our roadmap. In just 90 days, we've doubled engineering capacity, acquired Svexia for best-in-class reconciliation, and enhanced AI-powered solutions across cash forecasting, risk management, and analytics. Treasury Excellence, complete solutions for liquidity management, reconciliation, cash forecasting, risk management, netting, and payments backed by 40 plus years serving the world's leading companies. Digital asset leadership, enterprise grade infrastructure trusted by hundreds of global financial institutions licensed in 75 plus jurisdictions with real-time 24/7, 365 cross-border payment rails and institutional custody. Ripple Treasury offers real impact for your operations, unified visibility across traditional cash and digital assets, 24/7 yield optimization, putting every dollar to work, instant cross-border settlements, reducing FX cost, eliminate pre-funding requirements, and unlock trapped working capital, future-ready infrastructure for tokenized assets and programmable payments. The future of Treasury has no friction or boundaries. This is a very big move from Ripple. Now, when we also think about this, we go over here to Reese Merrick, introducing Ripple Treasury. Now, we already talked all about this, but down here, the future of Treasury has no friction or boundaries, XRP, RLUSD. Because when we think about all of these things, right, unlocking trapped capital, instant cross-border settlements, all of these things are based on the original on-demand liquidity product by Ripple, which has XRP at the center of that product being the liquidity tool to not only settle all of those transactions, but eliminate pre-funding and eliminate that trapped capital, essentially freeing it up, allowing it to move swiftly. And also, when we think about all of these things with the global FX market, I mean, guys, we are witnessing the biggest shift in TradFi. XRP's original use case is getting leveled up with every single one of these acquisitions from Ripple. Everyone is so blinded by the idea that, oh, RLUSD is replacing XRP. No, these are like RLUSD strengthens XRP's use case in a big way. I'm very excited about these recent announcements, especially Ripple Treasury. Now, to build on top of that, we go over here. This is the Ripple Treasury stack with G Treasury. You have liquidity management, reconciliation, cash forecasting, payments, netting, risk, all of that, all tapped in. And the best part is that you also have it all connected back to what Ripple has created. The wallet, custody, payments, prime, everything. When you look at this image, you do not look at a product. It looks like a full-on infrastructure stack. This is exactly what it is, a complete infrastructure stack. I've said it many times over, and I will continue to say it. When we look at Ripple's recent acquisitions, they have essentially created a next-generation global RTGS, real-time gross settlement digital system. Medico, Ripple Custody, Hidden Road, Ripple Prime, Rail, Ripple Payments, plus ROUSD, Palisade, Ripple Custody, plus wallets, G Treasury, Institutional Treasury Command Center. The best part is that blockchain, i.e. the XRP ledger, is at the core of all of this. The next phase will be onboarding institutions into the XRP ledger through tokenization, payments, and DeFi-related use cases. We are witnessing the rise of an entirely new RTGS system where DLTs are the new rails, value moving 24/7, 365 faster than emails are received, and at a fraction of a penny. Many are still failing to see how big this is for XRP, especially since it unlocks an infinite amount of utility. And yes, this is exactly what we are looking at, the utility side. When we think about these use cases, when we think about everything that's happening here through Ripple Treasury or through Ripple Prime or any major move that Ripple is making, it reinforces XRP's utility case. This should get you very, very excited. And then you look at the names tied back to G Treasury. We've talked about them, but there's 1,000 global clients that are tapped in with G Treasury, not to mention the thousands. And I think it's like 14,000 the last time that we looked, or 13,000. There's 13,000 institutional clients of G Treasuries. But then when you look at their actual enterprise stack, I mean, guys, you have so...
All right, guys, I'm back. What up, Silver Days? What's going on, fam? Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And always, let's go back to the ETF numbers. So for ETF for XRP, today's volume was 13.7 million for spot, 19.16 million for leverage trading. And if we go down to actual volume, so Bitwise is 6.35 million, $19.64, down 2.38%. Franklin Templeton XRP is $19.10, down 2.14 to 2.38 million. Canary Capital is 18.72%, down 1.92 to 1.98 million. Grayscale is 34.36, down 2.35 to 1.32 million. Rex Osprey is $14.41, down to 801,000, down 2.50. 21 shares is $17.17, down 2.39% to 40K. Turcom's Leverage trades are $8.19, down 5.05 to 8.49 million. Volatility shares 2x is $4.28, down 4.23 to 6.7 million. Volatility shares is $10.07, down 2.61% to 2.29 million. Pro shares is down 4.21% to $7.87 to 1.44 million. Amplify is $19.44, down 1.75 to 176,000. So looking at the XRP radar, escrow is 34.1 billion, 34%. Certain supply is 65.8 billion, 65.8%. Total burn, is this number even going up? The total burn number is 14.3 million, 0.014%. RLUSD is 1.45 billion. Exchanges hold 12.22 billion, 14.2%. ETFs and indexes 198 million. 798 million. 0.78%. DeFi and AMM is 223.3 million. 0.00 or 0.223%. Tokenized RWA is 413 million. And the treasury is 520.9 million, which is 0.052%. Moving on to exchanges, Upbit, South Korea holds 37.2%. Binance holds 16.3%. BitThumb, also South Korea, holds 13.1%. Uphold is 11.6%. Buybank is 4%. CoinCheck is 3.9%. Moving forward, going back over to X. Yesterday, we saw a total net flow of 7.7 million into XRP spot ETFs. On the same day, Bitwise, Canary, and Franklin XRP ETFs recorded net inflows. Bitwise 5.3 million, Canary 1.4, and Franklin 1.03. Total traded closed at 22.23 million. January 26. Breaking news: Clarity Act just cleared the Senate Agricultural Committee. Regulatory clarity is coming. Utility over noise. This is President Trump's just revealed he's announcing he'll be announcing a new Fed chair tomorrow.
Or something like this. I don't know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We have massive breaking news in the crypto space. President Donald Trump just revealed he'll be announcing the new Fed chair tomorrow. Check this out.
What day will you be announcing your Fed chair pick next week?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Oh. Anyone else find it highly suspect that the entire market tanks the day before something like this? I don't know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We have.
Yeah, I was thinking that's really going on. Things are getting crazy. Market has to go lower. I'll wait to buy. I'd wait to buy. So, Peter, you think the market is going to go lower? I hope you're right. Sentiment is low. Fear is high. But real infrastructure doesn't care about emotions. XRP 10K narrative isn't hype. It's a framework built on liquidity, usage, and financial dependence. This is how real moves begin. So let's see what.
Sentiment is crumbling. People are dumping their XRP bags. But XRP to $10,000 isn't just prophecy or wishful thinking. It's structural. And here's the logical ladder to 10,000. Right now, the whole market feels heavy. Prices are down, timelines are negative, and people are looking for reasons to be scared. And that's exactly why this matters, because XRP to $10,000 is not just a prophecy. It's not Moonboy hype. It's not a prediction. It's framework. A framework based on how infrastructure actually evolves. And here's the difference that most people miss. Speculation drives attention, but infrastructure drives necessity. First, XRP doesn't need retail hype. It just needs liquidity rotation. When capital shifts back into utility, XRP moves first. Then institutions stop trading XRP and start using it for settlement, for speed, for liquidity. Once volume grows, the system will demand deeper liquidity. And when a system depends on an asset to function, price is no longer optional. That's how you move from double digits to triple digits, something that most people cannot mentally process. And here's the twist that nobody wants to hear. These moves don't start when sentiment is high. They start when sentiment is broken. All while infrastructure is quietly being built in the background. The real question isn't, is a $10,000 XRP crazy? It's this. What happens when global finance needs speed, liquidity, and instant settlement, and XRP is already there? Think about that.
XRP to $100 is impossible. So was 25 cents at the 006. Same disbelief, different price. A new XRP price glitch sends XRP to $1.25 live on CNBC. XRP glitch can be seen at the
Solana Sol token faced steeper losses, though, around 3.8.
Oh, wow. Clearly, it's showing 126.
Now, Sunday saw the big.
That is crazy. Global media is not talking about XRP as Ripple and on-chain media pushed the system to a tipping point. The XRP ledger is going global. The shift is accelerating fast. Decentralized media is launching the XRP-L, fully powered by BitX. Let's see what this has to say.
So this is different in the sense that
talk about this new payment system that's been launched in South Africa. I see a lot of people on social media talking about it. PayShap is available at all major South African banks. It enables instant payments between them. But I know what you're wondering, isn't that already in place? That's why we've dragged in personal finance columnist Maya Fisher-French to talk about the money on this. So let's see, Maya. So I was under the impression as well that you can do instant payments between banks, but the difference is you have to pay for it each time. How is this different?
So this is different in the sense that it's actually a completely different payment system. So it's part of this massive modernization of our payment system, which has been up till now called the Rapid Payment Program. So this is actually not at all like an instant payment. It uses almost completely different payment rails, to use banking speak. And by the way, I know you're struggling with the pronunciation. PayShap, right?
Oh.
That's what it is, PayShap. That's where it comes from. And what it is that basically, if I want to pay you, instead of you giving me your banking details, you just give me your cell phone number. And the money's paid into your bank account, not your cell phone that you have to go and draw the cash like an e-wallet. It's paid into your bank account in 10 seconds. So instant payments can even take up to 2 hours to happen. This is a completely and utterly different payment system. So incredibly quick. And obviously the applications, the idea is they're talking about digitalizing cash. They want to cash out the system. You're at the spaza shop, you're climbing onto the taxi, wherever you are, you can just simply put in a cell phone number. And of course, there's such security now because I'm not having to share my bank account with someone to get paid.
Yeah, obviously also it's much safer than carrying cash around with you as well, which we...
So this is flashback alert. Brad Ginzerhouse nails it. Why Bitcoin XRP destroyed gold as store of value and transfer mechanisms. Slow, outdated XRP's rock solid stability, lightning fast, 1500 plus TPS versus XRP measly 16. Crypto isn't just the future, it is here. Who's holding?
As a value transfer and a value store. And I think Ripple has benefited really for two reasons to not have seen XRP or have XRP as a more stable digital asset. One is, I think we're really solving a real world use case. It's not just about speculators. It's not just about really, Ethereum has kind of run up on something called ICOs, or initial coin offerings, that there's some regulatory concerns about that. And I think the second thing that has driven it is, I think, there really has been a lot of drama about some of the other digital assets. Bitcoin has kind of had a civil war within the Bitcoin community about what the future of the technology looks like. Even within the Ethereum community, you're talking about an asset, or the technology only allows about 16 transactions per second. When we think about what we're doing at Ripple and around payments, we're thinking about thousands and thousands of transactions per second. Digital assets broadly are in a position.
Is important. XRP holders, new Fed chair announcement next week. Trump's new Fed chairman could prioritize easier liquidity and faster settlement rails. XRP operates in the exact space. Growth agenda aligns with tokenization infrastructure. Been here long enough to know. And of course, this is President Trump, Rubio, and Hetzek.
Next week, I think sometime, Scott and Howard and everybody, we're going to be announcing the head of the Fed, who that will be. And it'll be a person that will, I think, do a good job. Next week, I think.
Big President Trump new on crypto structure bill. The entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using state-of-the-art crypto technology. Outdated payments get a blockchain boost. Trillions headed on chain. Bullish for XRP RWA.
Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after many Americans are unaware that.
Yeah, we will see. We've been hearing that for some time now. So we will see if it actually gets updated. This is Brad Gensinghouse at the Miami Reserve. What is that, paddle tournament? 40 billion valuation, 3 trillion volume, 13 trillion in treasury flows. Great breakdown by trade DVC on the massive scale of this utility.
How much total volume are you guys doing now? You're Brad, you're the CEO of Ripple, right?
I am. Good to meet you guys.
No way. What is Ripple?
So Ripple is a blockchain infrastructure company that uses XRP to solve real world problems around financial services. Cross-border payments. We do a whole bunch of stuff in prime broker as well.
And how much is the company worth right now?
Last financing we did, Citadel and Fortress came in at a $40 billion valuation.
Wow, that is insane. And how much total volume are you guys doing on the payments?
So we've announced publicly we've done over $100 billion of payment, and that has grown. In our infrastructure side, prime brokerage, we did over $3 trillion last year. And then our kind of corporate treasury stuff, we orchestrated $13 trillion of payments.
And you're based in Miami, right?
I live here in Miami, yes. And here at the Reserve Paddle Tournament, which is absolutely incredible.
Amazing. And do you think more billionaires will move to Miami?
Oh, I think there's no question. I mean, you saw the Larry Page news, but for every Larry Page that makes headlines, there's a bunch of other people that are in the shadows doing interesting stuff.
What's your favorite restaurant in Miami?
The Joyce. It's the best.
And how do you get to the Joyce? How do you get in?
You got to know people, right? Is that all of life? It's who you know.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
And what drives you most every day, Brad?
My wife.
Love it, man.
All right, thanks.
So shout out to Brad. Marcus, When a trade executes, a person buys, a person sells. They both think they made the right decision. As for me, I buy when and where I can see we trend down. I don't use margins and can't get liquidated. All right, good information there, Marcus. And you're right. Somebody's buying and somebody's selling. So it's a profit either way, right? It just depends on which side you're on. Breaking news, President Trump officially selects crypto-friendly Kevin Walsh as the new Fed chair. Listen now.
Crises, and it would have been even worse for the rest of the world. So that's what we did in crises. And, you know, some of your and my friends on the right, including at institutions we care deeply about, their views then were you should let the system burn down. A phoenix will rise from the ashes. You really have no business in doing this. It would have.
That's crazy, but he's probably on to something. You should let the system burn down and phoenix will rise from the ashes. So this is David Schwartz. If people really believe XRP had a 10% chance of hitting $100, XRP would not be trading below $10 today. Sound like a hater, David Schwartz. Breaking news, Michael Saylor says Kevin Walsh will become the first pro-crypto chair of the Federal Reserve. That's going to be interesting. Guys, stop making ridiculous price predictions that XRP will go to $300. It's going to $10K. These numbers go up every single day. I don't know what to tell you guys. You know exactly what to do. Sell everything and buy XRP. Wow, massive news. Spot XRP energy is heating up. BlackRock plus XRP in the same sentence. Canary Capital CEO Stephen says it may be closer than most expect. Institutions watching, pressure building, the clock is ticking. This could be huge for XRP. Will be very huge, but we've been waiting for this for some time now. I usually don't give free advice, but here's one today. Simpsons definitely know something. Buy more XRP. We'll have to check that. So much going on. XRP nukes 8.11% on the week. Macro shock triggered a crypto liquidation cascade. The whole market got flushed. Price broke clear through the $1.82 support. No fight, just straight drop. Bearish momentum in full control. We fade any weak bounce from here. Double whale move. 200 million XRP just shifted back to back transfers. That's not noise, that's positioning. Something big is loading. Super cycle for XRP, $1,200 to $1,700. My brother keep his promise. He might have been more excited about me retiring than I was. David Schwartz, Chief Cryptogram autographed business card. Okay, that's weird. You're just saying it wasn't going to do anything. If it's going to turn back, it should go so from here. Otherwise, very hard to pass this level next. The navy blue area has turned into resistance. Daily updates. Ripple enhanced institutional finance with Ripple Treasury platforms, leveraging blockchain for swift cross-border transactions. XRP launch on Hyperliquid. What? Advances XRP DeFi integration with Ripple Treasury optimized corporate finance through blockchain. Class action against Ripple was dismissed by Ninth Circuit ruling XRP claim was time barred under securities law. Ripple integrates XRP into global treasury systems for seamless cross-border payments and enhanced financial liquidity. There's a large-scale decline in the gold market during the U.S. trading sessions. If gold fails to rebound to, well, I guess that's the end there. We just saw this. We looked at the numbers. Refresh this real quick. On the hour, it is still up 0.81%, down 6.64% on the day. Let me just play this video. We go to this video. Good evening, crypto. It's 30 minutes. We'll come back to that. XRP holders don't sell until you see this.
Back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great, great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And I got to start with this from Panos. He posted what Arthur Brito wrote a long time ago. Arthur said, I think a lot of people get hung up on XRP. For the most part, I expect the majority of people who use the Ripple payment network to be able to ignore XRP. XRP will just be the hidden plumbing. For as long as I've been holding XRP, people always said, by the time we get to mass adoption, even the haters will be using XRP, and they won't even know that it's happening. By the time we get to mass adoption, XRP holders are already going to be retired. I honestly believe institutional adoption is what's going to retire most of the retail investors in XRP. But at the mass adoption level, XRP is going to be running in the background. People are going to be making transactions one after another, and XRP is going to be settling those transactions on the back end. XRP Ledger proves its cost efficiency, settling $617 billion in value while incurring just $2 million in fees. And you know those transactions happened over a period of time. It wasn't just one $617 billion transaction all in one go. So I asked Grok what it would cost if this was done on Swift. And this is what the AI came up with. At $50 average total fees per transaction, sending it in $1 million separate $617,000 transfers, it would cost around $50 million. That's the difference. That's how efficient the XRP ledger is compared to Swift. And those Swift fees, everybody that uses the Swift system complains about those fees. They also complain about how many times the transaction fails. Imagine sitting there hoping the money shows up on the other end. With XRP, it could happen before you even hang up the phone. And that's why Ripple will eventually replace Swift. Ripple sees bullish path to $1 trillion in institutional crypto holdings. So this comes from Monica Long. And what she said was, by the end of 2026, balance sheets will hold over $1 trillion in digital assets. And roughly half of Fortune 500 companies will have formalized digital asset strategies. And not just crypto exposure, but active participation across tokenized assets, digital asset treasuries, stablecoins, on-chain T-bills, and programmable financial instruments. She noted, Long also projected that expanding exchange-traded fund access and enterprise adoption will accelerate normalization across capital markets. Like I've been saying this entire time, we are not done with XRP treasuries. This is just the beginning. There's going to be more and more companies creating XRP treasuries, but they're going to actually utilize the token for its actual use case. They're going to use it inside of sending payments, cross-border payments. It could even be business-to-business payments and so on. We are going to see a $1 trillion market cap for XRP quicker than people think. I keep seeing people saying it's not going to happen until 2030. The new financial system will be live before 2030. This comes from Smoke, and he says, May 2025 confirmation. SBI uses R3 Corda with XRP. Now, the reason I wanted to show you this is because this is part of the research that we've seen for years. And it wasn't just XRP research, it was XDC research and other cryptocurrencies as well that were tied in with R3 Corda. Well, now this drops. So now, do we discredit all the documents that talk about R3 using XRP? Because DRW just said R3 never worked. Take a listen to this.
Big disadvantage. Large institutions want to have control over what they're doing, but they don't want anybody else to control, to be able to censor their transactions. So, but beyond that, I mean, ARC is obviously very focused on being able to move money across borders. It's not entirely clear to me how they're dealing with the privacy issues, because a lot of people moving money around are concerned about that. And for instance, some of the entities that do cross-border transmittance facilitations using blockchains find that as soon as they move dollar stablecoins to Mexico, that the Mexican peso all of a sudden moves because everybody knows what's coming next, which is just highlights the problem that happens on these when things are completely transparent.
It's interesting. Do you remember, this probably was either 2014 or 15. Do you remember one, which was tried by the various banks?
Yeah, I think it was R3, but yes.
Oh, was it R3? I know it was R something. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, R3, it never worked. They for reasons you just said, right?
Yeah. 100%.
So I am surprised. We do own Circle, but I was surprised that they were going to try that again because it so clearly didn't work. Now, maybe.
So R3 never worked. So a lot of people right away would argue, what does this guy know? And is he pissed off about R3? What's his intention here? But Cyprus says, yeah, let's totally ignore the CEO of DRW, one of the world's largest principal trading organizations who facilitates transactions with the DTCC. So does it work or doesn't it work? Nobody really knows for sure. And I'm sure we're going to see other news drop about this over the next couple of days. But I will keep you up to date on that as well, because R3, that was talked about as long as I've been an XRP holder. And people always said the key to ISO 222 is through R3 Corda. But did it shift from that? Is it now more about RippleNet and Stellar and maybe XDC more than it's about R3? We really don't know yet. Native XRP lending amendment enters validator voting following XRP Ledger version 3.1.0 release. The reason the lending on the XRP Ledger is so important because it's going to be key to mass adoption. So validators have begun voting on the native lending amendment, with all initially set to the default nay positions as the process starts. The protocol will enable direct on-chain lending and borrowing for XRP, RLUSD, and future assets without external smart contracts. It will rely on a fixed term, fixed rate credit feature to offer predictable institutional style financing on the XRP ledger. With this feature, market makers, payment firms, traders, and fintech lenders could see new funding tools for liquidity, payouts, and working capital. This is big because institutions will need liquidity. They will want to borrow on the XRP ledger, and this is geared towards institutional lending. But I remember Vet said that this would also be extended to retail investors as well. I want to see if this gets approved or not. I'm pretty sure this is going to get passed easily. 21 shares. Ask Grok for XRP price in 2026. You know, here's what gets me. We see these predictions for Bitcoin, Ethereum. Bitcoin's going to $1 million. But then all these AI models say that XRP is going to be $6 to $8, possibly $10 to $12. But this one's a bit different. So skepticism soon followed. Popular X user Scam Detective publicly bet Grok $100 in Bitcoin that XRP would not reach $10 by the end of 2026. Interestingly, Grok accepted the wager, agreeing to pay $100 in Bitcoin if XRP fails to hit $10 in 2026. Me personally, I think we are going way beyond $10. But it's kind of strange seeing the AI take the wager.
It's actually kind of weird. Where's the AI going to get the money from, right? Does the AI have an account? That's kind of weird, right? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. We've been talking about machine learning and AI and paying robots. But how does Gronk get the money to take the wager? That's kind of weird. Actually, I might see if I can bet Gronk something. See what happens there. A one-way bet.
Let's see what happens with that. But these AI models, it's like they're way too conservative when it comes to XRP. And anybody out there that's thinking about selling their XRP, they should watch this first. Potential Trump Federal Reserve nominee Judy Shelton suggesting back to the future approach utilizing a gold standard in a cryptocurrency type of way. Take a listen to this.
Would returning to gold standard help the U.S. economy? Can you talk a little about your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say I don't see it so much as returning, but more of a back to the future.
Okay.
I think that what a gold standard stands for is monetary discipline for its own sake. That is, if money is supposed to be a unit of account and a reliable measure and a dependable store of value, it really shouldn't be subject to who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And I think that money needs to be stable and provide the foundation for productive economic growth. And when money is just a variable that financial markets toss around, or it's part of a derivatives formula, or it's part of someone speculating on currencies, it's not serving the private sector in the sense of providing that reliable unit of account so you can make plans. And under a gold standard, you did have that stability, and I think that's what's missing. And so I like the idea of a gold standard. I mean, it could be used in a very cryptocurrency way. The point is, do you have a unified money system so that when you talk about the international marketplace, everyone is playing on a level monetary playing field? And it's very important to have a rules-based approach. And that's why I'm advocating that we need to look at the virtues of a gold standard and try to come up with something much closer to matching those. And then I think we would have more solid economic growth.
And think about it like this. When she said in a cryptocurrency type of way, the first thing I thought of is backing the digital dollar with tokenized gold. That could possibly be one path to getting there. or just back a digital currency with gold, period. But then it always comes back to XRP is going to be backed by gold. You don't want that to happen. XRP is going to be moving the value of gold because it's going to be moving every single country's stable coin or central bank digital currency, depending on which direction that country goes in. But the fact that she also said level playing field, that's something that Brad Garlinghouse says all the time.
All the time. Brad says it all the time, over and over and over, leveling the playing field with the crypto market, which is also something big that is trying to happen. But we'll see. Let's finish this video. 4 minutes. Let's finish the video out.
You honestly think Judy Shelton doesn't know the path that we are on? I'm telling you, XRP is the future. This is why you don't sell your whole bag. This is why you don't rush to sell your crypto for useless fiat dollars. We are going back to the gold-backed system. That's why all these countries have been stockpiling gold. Top 10 ranking for cross-border payments. Ripple establishes itself alongside the global heavyweights. And if you look at the list that they have here, they have Ripple at number 5. Swift is at number 2, and Western Union is number 1. Here's the thing, though. Most people keep forgetting that the customers that use Western Union, that use Swift, that use these other options, they're not happy customers. And then you see D-Local on there and Thunes. Both of those are Ripple partners as well. Same thing with Neum. But when you have an alternative that's fast, cheap, and you know the money's going to show up on the other end, people are going to use that option instead of Swift, instead of Western Union and other options that are out there today. I expect Ripple to quickly become number 3. Then it will go on to be the number 1 solution for cross-border payments. It's just a matter of time. Many new XRP accounts opened in 24 hours is a great signal in favor of bullish investors. So we keep seeing all these new wallets showing up. And you see it right here. In a brief period of time, XRP Ledger recently recorded the creation of 3,203 new accounts, which is a significant increase in network adoption compared to recent baselines. I think it's because people are now coming in on the dip. I think people want to get invested in something that they could see being very big very soon, because we all know a run-up is absolutely coming. It's just we don't know exactly when it's going to happen. But people position ahead of that. You don't ever want to be that guy trying to buy in halfway up a massive green candle. I'm telling you, there is going to be so much regret when XRP hits double digits. You're going to see Bitcoin maxis. They're going to be crying all over X. Don't worry, it's coming back down. Don't worry, there's no chance of it flipping Bitcoin. You're going to see that everywhere as XRP continues to go higher and higher. And this could be that run where XRP finally flips Bitcoin. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive.
And that's what I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs. Don't wig out and don't sell all your XRP just yet. Hang in there and wait it out. You will definitely see return. Not financial advice. This is just for entertainment purposes. Moving on to David Short's finally breaking the silence on the price.
David Schwartz just used basic math to prove The market thinks your $100 XRP predictions are wrong. And he said the exact same thing 3 weeks before the 2017 rally. Welcome back to the show, everyone. You are in for an absolute treat this morning, and happy Friday, opening night of softball last night after winning the championship. I'm a little sore today. I didn't do well, man. I didn't get the ball out the infield. It wasn't good. I did get on base. I scored a couple of runs. I just, I got the new swing. The new swing's a lot better. The pitches were short. I didn't want to take a walk. I lunged, but it looks good to swing. Next week, give me 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I'm going to report back, and you're going to hear me crushing the ball. I'm telling you right now. Now, look, you clicked on this video because David Schwartz just made a statement about XRP's price that got the entire crypto community talking. And with XRP trading where it is right now, you need to hear this. Most people think that when Schwartz talks about price, it's bullish news. Another sign that we're headed to the moon. Another reason to hodl harder. But here's what nobody's telling you. Schwartz just used basic math to prove that the market itself is calling bullshit on the $100 XRP predictions. And when you understand the logic he's using, you'll realize the smartest money in crypto thinks very differently than Twitter does. In these next few minutes, I'm breaking down exactly what Schwartz said. The mathematical proof he used that you can verify yourself. The historical pattern that makes this even more interesting. And why this all matters right now, with major Fed chair news moving the entire market. And look, I've been covering Ripple on XRP for years, almost a decade. I've watched Schwartz make these exact same types of statements before major market moves. And I'm going to show you the receipts on what happens next. Let's dive in. Markets took a little bit of a beating yesterday, right? Still almost at a $3 trillion market cap. Bitcoin still above 80K. ETH a little off pace from its $3,000 hurdle. And XRP $1.76. I want to show you the chart. I told you I'll be showing this to you every single day. No edits in it, no changes. The RSI is the important part here at the bottom. Purple to crush yellow. We kissed it. And then we got rejected. We are in extreme bearish territory. Well, I should say extreme. It's at 34. If we break under 30, extreme bearish territories. We want to see a bounce back up. But these blue arrows been sitting here for months at this point. I told you the move was coming down. People want to fight it. People want to debate me. They want to tell me I'm wrong. They want to tell me I'm crazy. Look, I'm realistic, man. This isn't about being right. This isn't about being wrong. This is about controlling your emotions and expecting the possible outcomes so you can prepare yourself for the future outcomes of where this price is going. You can see this $1.60 range, $1.40 range. Those are the targets. Could it go low to $1.40? It could, but there's no need to talk about it because we got two major hurdles before we need to talk about that. And then what happens after? The bounce, the rebound to the upside, where I am expecting a new all-time high on the price of XRP. And that's what I'm paying attention to. This data is in every single video right in the beginning so you can see it yourself. And then we talk about I Trust Capital. Look, if you firmly are nervous about these markets, if you think it's cooked, if you think we need to wait till 2028 now, and you're worried about holding your crypto, you're worried about being... Talk about the Fed chair. Looks like Trump today is going to make his announcement for the new Fed chair. We all wanted the guy from BlackRock. That's not going to happen. That's okay. Looks like Trump's going to nominate Kevin Walsh. I don't know who he is. His odds jumped up. Well, I asked Claude, talk to me. Tell me about this guy. What do we know? Is he good for crypto? Back in the day, not good for crypto. Not good for rate cuts. I'll tell you right now, his stance has 100% changed, because if he wasn't going to do anything with rates, Trump would not nominate this guy. We look at the present day, and it says Walsh has recently shifted and publicly argued for lower interest rates in recent months, citing AI-driven productivity gains as disinflationary, which would justify aggressive rate cuts. That is what we need. Aggressive rate cuts. We get more riskier money. I don't think that's the correct saying yet. We get risky money entering the market. When risky money comes in, it goes to crypto. Clearly, the crypto market, they don't like this decision. That's why Bitcoin dropped. But all it's going to take is for this guy to come in and say positive stuff about rate cuts and positive stuff about crypto, and everything you saw happen yesterday will flip overnight. Now let's
facts, right? Somebody's talking about rate cuts, somebody pro crypto, you'd be surprised how fast the market's going to switch back, right? All you would need would be to have some support out of the government, and things will definitely switch back towards our side or back to the crypto market. But let me know what you guys think. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
get the Schwartzy. Excuse me. So David Schwartz came out and he talked about the price finally. So here's what David Schwartz actually said. You can see the tweet on your screen. I'm not going to read it to you. I'm sure you probably read it by now, and you're probably scratching your head, or you read 100 different takes on it. I want you to pay attention because this is smarter than it sounds at first. He said, and I quote, "If many rational people believe that there was a 10% chance that XRP hit $100 within a few years, they definitely wouldn't sell very much today at much less than $10. Now let's pause for a second. I want to break down why this is absolute.
That is facts. All it takes is for all the fear to switch bullish. You're right, Marcus, and definitely silver days, right? All we need is some positive press, someone talking positive about crypto, and more people on the for crypto side than the against crypto side, right? I think a lot of the fear currently is because there aren't a lot of people talking positive. Let me see, where is it? Yeah, so we're still in fear. We need to get back towards the green side, back on that greed side, right? Once that greed starts coming in, you're going to see an inflow of money trickling back into the crypto market.
Absolutely genius. If you truly believed with real conviction, not just hopium here, that XRP had even a 10% shot at hitting $100 soon, you would be backing up that truck at $3, $5, $8, and so on. You'll be selling a car, a kidney, a house, right? Because a 10% chance at a 10 to 20x returns, that's the bet of a lifetime right there. But here's the kicker, because Schwartz continues here. Those with that belief would quickly buy up most of the XRP because they'd value it more highly than those without that belief. And soon the supply of XRP well below $10 would dry up. Now, folks, this is pure market mechanics. If conviction was real, we'll see supply shocks. We would see order books emptying. We'll see the price already there, right? And then his conclusion. His conclusion was that the current trading price is well below $10, shows that there aren't very many people who really think that it has a 10% chance of hitting $100 within a few years with enough confidence to put their money where their mouth is. Translation, the market is voting with real capital, and the vote says the $100 calls are mostly noise. Now look, you can do this math yourself with any price target and time frame. And that's exactly what smart money is doing right now while retail is busy making price prediction memes out there. This matters because it separates signal from noise in a market absolutely drowning in noise. And that's the dead honest truth, right? The market's getting destroyed with just all this crazy noise and these price predictions from these people who are trying to sell you something. My price prediction has always been very basic, 4 to 650, and then we can talk about higher time frames. Everyone tells me I'm crazy, but the crazy part is thinking that 4 to 650 doesn't have to get hit before we get to $100. I mean, simple math tells you it does, right? 4 comes first, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8. That's it. Now, we move over to something else that's very interesting here. This was posted because this is where it gets wild. You need to sit up in your chair. You need to crank up the volume. You really need to just, put one ear on the speaker and listen to this. Because Schwartz said almost the exact same thing here 3 weeks before the December 2017 rally. That's the last time we had an all-time high. Well, I guess we had an all-time high last year, but you understand. That's the first time when I was around we had an all-time high in 2017. Let me say that again. 3 weeks before XRP went parabolic and hit all-time highs, Schwartz was out there giving rational, measured takes about price expectations and your market mechanics. So what does that tell you? First, it tells us that Schwartz's analysis being rational and measured isn't bearish. It's just honest. The man doesn't pump. He never has. Even right before the biggest rally in XRP's history. Second, and this is crucial right here, he also noted in his statement that the most significant crypto bull runs were due to unpredictable external changes. Now think about that.
Schwartz is just showing how the current market perceives XRP, which is hard to discount via price action. But we know the sentiment will change when the mass inflows come. You need to be in, definitely. I don't know that I trust Schwartz too much anyway. Like a lot of these guys are going to tell you one thing and do something completely different. But let me know what you guys think. And let's finish out the video.
In December 2017, unpredictable external change, retail FOMO, mainstream media coverage, new money flooding in. What we're seeing right now with regulatory clarity, institutional adoption, and the entire financial infrastructure shifting. Those are external changes that he is talking about. So the pattern isn't Schwartz is bearish, rally canceled. The pattern is Schwartz says stay rational, external factors drive price, and the people who understand fundamental versus hype are the ones who are positioned here correctly. Very interesting, right? I think it is. It had me thinking all night. I couldn't even sleep. You love to see it. And look, I'm gonna talk more about this on the next video. I don't want this to run too long because I got more thoughts on this. I got more information I want to say. You're gonna want to tune in at 3:30 p.m. But let's bring this one home. So we got Schwartz using mathematical logic to prove that market prices reveal your true conviction. And right now, that conviction isn't at $100 XRP levels, no matter what Twitter says. But he also said the same thing 3 weeks before the 2017 rally. And he's constantly stated that unpredictable external changes drive major bull runs. Changes like the Fed chair news that's literally dropping any moment today, right? And that could move the entire market. The smartest take isn't bullish or bearish. It's rational. It's understanding that prices reflect probabilities, that external catalysts matter more than hype, and that the same pattern of Schwartz being measured before major moves is playing out again. So while everyone else is arguing about price targets, you now understand the actual mechanics at play. You bet the expectation of another hype video, and you got the real analysis instead. If this breakdown right here, if this helped you see through the noise, hit that like button for me. and subscribe if you want more analysis that actually respects your intelligence. And drop a comment.
So shout out to the Bullwinkle.
Are you seeing?
Keeping it moving. We're gonna do who is this? Outlook real quick, and then we'll go over to
welcome to Coffee Chat. Oh my gosh, is that ever good today? Wow. Oh guys, I don't know what it is, but I am just I just feel a lot of anticipation and excitement right now. When I'm looking at the XRP price chart, and of course right now we have just taken that dive like we said was going to happen. Guys, I think we're going to see some opportunities like we have not seen in a very long time to reach some big time accumulation goals. And it has got me stoked because right after that, guys, I'm telling you, I believe it is going to literally fly. That's what I believe. And a lot of people, they don't, they just don't see it for whatever reason. They just either they don't believe, of course, or they're listening to all the FUD. What I think is going on right now is you are watching a pullback in XRP, but it is like a slingshot. And when this thing reaches its final stretch all the way down to, I think it could hit maybe even $1.14 and they let it go. Do I ever think we are going to see some price appreciation? And you know what? Most are going to miss it because they're going to have given in to all the fear and the uncertainty and the doubt. And they're going to be sitting there. And when it flies back by them, they're going to watch it go woof. And they're not going to be able to catch it. And guys, I don't want that to be you. That is for sure. That's why I'm always out encourage you. Zoom out, zoom out. Think about this, guys. And you've heard me say it, and it is true. You can go look this up for yourself and see it. Guys, the folks that are capitulating, somebody else is on the opposite side of that transaction. For everybody selling, somebody has got to be buying. Well, I'll tell you what, the folks that are buying are big time whales and institutions, and they're doing it like crazy. Absolutely like crazy. I mean, they are pouring millions upon millions upon millions of dollars into gobbling up all this fear in the market and gobbling up XRP. And the whole deal is this, guys, and I tell folks when I do my coaching, look, it's grade 5 economics. You buy low, you sell high, isn't it? That is how it is. But a lot of people don't do that for whatever reason. The psychology is this market has got folks, retail, absolutely trained. You would think that we were like in a circus and we were performing an act because they got us out there buying high. Oh boy, the green candles that people chase. And when it's low, oh, the fear and the uncertainty and the doubt and the capitulation is like crazy. But ask yourself this, when is the best time to buy something, that is going to appreciate in value? Well, it's at the lowest point, isn't it? That's when you need to be getting excited. Not when it's way up here. When it's way down here is where your excitement should build, because the opportunity that represents, it does not come as often as you might think. It doesn't. And I'm telling you guys, look, remember November 2024, where were we? Under 50 cents is where we were. In fact, I remember when XRP had dropped and it went down to like 46 cents, and Judy and I, wow, did we ever back up the truck? That investment right there, even under today's prices, up hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of percent. So how am I going to sit back and get discouraged and upset and all this kind of stuff? I am not. And Judy and I have been setting some dry powder on the side for sure. And I am waiting for some of these numbers that I've been thinking about to hit. And if they do, I am going to back up the truck and gobble up as much as I can. And that is our plan. Now, I'm not telling you need to do that, of course. If I could talk you into it, come on, someone else can talk you out of it. But I would at least encourage you and motivate you to go look and pull back the curtain. What is going on right now in the wide world? Where are we in the history of our monetary system. Guys, we're at the end of the old and right at the beginning of the new. And get this, is that not where the most volatility exists? It is. And that's where I think when, if you zoomed out a little and you kind of looked at that, you wouldn't be getting shaken up. You wouldn't be get discouraged. You'd be dollar cost averaging in, bringing, if you bought up there, bring that dollar cost average low. Do you want to know something? Judy and I, the day before the SEC lawsuit was laid down, we put in $25,000 into XRP the day before. And I think it was something like 50, maybe 52 cents. Or something. Anyway, it dropped to 17.48 cents within a 24-hour period, something like that. And of course, we're like, oh my gosh, and felt just like a lot of people feel when they see that happening. But you see, our conviction wasn't based on the day-to-day price and all the hype and all this and that. It was based on what we researched and how we saw the future unfolding and where this was going. And you know what we did? We just gobbled up, and bought in all those lows to bring actually the point. The majority of our purchases, as we averaged it out, 17 to 19 cents. Can you fathom that? And literally just gobbled up as much as we possibly could. And look, guys, 13 months, into it. And it was only a few short months, even after that capitulation. The whole thing changed our lives. It revolutionized our lives. And that's why we get out and share what we do with the enthusiasm that we do. Do you notice something that's not on this channel? And I'm not saying this to, put any shade on anybody else's channel, that's for sure. But Judy and I, we do not have any sponsors now. We have had all the offers that we have had and all that kind of stuff, but you don't see them on the channel. And the reason for that, guys, is you're getting our 100% biased opinion. You are. Nobody's waving a check in front of our face in order to say what we're saying. That is for sure. And a lot of people have asked, oh, have they ever? They're out there and saying, oh, come on, David, you guys got to be being paid by Ripple somehow. No, we're not. They've never contacted me. They've never sent me an email, a text message, nothing. They haven't even made any comments on my videos or nothing like that. And I have seen some of these Ripple folks, at all these conferences. In fact, I have a hat right back there where Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz signed my very first XRP hat. And I got it behind protective plexiglass over there. But the point is this, is that they've never offered me one red cent. I'm telling you what I'm telling you because of what I believe right down in here. Don't give up on that conviction. If you hold it, just get out there and build it, research it, and go out and find what's going on. And I'm telling you, when you see days like today and the price being low like that and possibly even going lower, you're not going to feel discouraged. You're going to feel encouraged and you're going to think, what an opportunity. It's just like, can you imagine if they opened up the mall and they said, hey, it's not only 50% off, we're going to give you 50% off the 50%, so you got a 75% discount, right? Well, that would be Black Friday, and we'd be lining up. I've literally seen the malls on Black Friday people lined up around the block. The only industry that I know that people cry when there's a sale on all the assets has got to be this digital asset space. They cry when the price is down, and they're hurraying when it's up. That is insane to me, but it happens all the time. Think about that. The only industry where people cry when things are on sale is in this digital asset space. It seems unbelievable, but that's what's going on. Wow. Guys, we love you. I really do. I want to say this too. I have so enjoyed this community, and I love you to pieces. And by the way, for those of you that are down there at Fort Lauderdale, how Judy and I wish that we were there. They canceled our flights and then trying to book ourselves on another flight. It would have made no sense because, by the time we got down there, guys, we literally practically have to turn around and come back because of things going on in our family and stuff like that. So we just couldn't come. But if you're down there and you're attending Alan Staples' conference today, boy, oh boy, do we ever wish you all the best and really do wish you were there. Now, having said that, we've already bought our tickets for XRP Las Vegas. And guys, we want to meet up with folks there. So I'll tell you what, that is the next conference. And we're going to make sure that there's ample space, before and after. So if anything should happen, we'll get there somehow. But that's where we want to meet up with you guys. We truly love touching base with this community and just how great you've been, guys. Today's a great day. Don't get discouraged. Don't get yourself all worked up. In fact, what you should do, get yourself in our mastermind surrounding
XRP Vegas, you got your tickets?
yourself with.
I'm actually going to start looking today. That's interesting. You're right, Marcus. The banks are scared. Surely all these institutions are wrong. Clarity sends it. We are still traveling through the fog. Conviction, the paper ink dollars is back, but nothing, backed by nothing and printed on Oblivion. Wake up. Definitely wake up. And yeah, once once the clarity becomes real, right, you'll see movement like no other, and you will see price action on the full run up. I gotta find this video I just closed by accident, which was weird. Yeah, here it is, Crypto Sensei. Let me pull this over. We'll watch.
2 years ago, XRP holders were promised something different. Not another airdrop, not another hype cycle, but a real layer one that could bridge worlds. Smart contracts, real governance, and data connectivity between networks. And here we are, January 2026. The promise just went live. This week, the flare drop era officially ends and a brand new chapter begins. The operational utility era. That means Flare is no longer being distributed, it's now being used. Used to secure data oracles, run safer cross-chain bridges, and fuel XRP-based DeFi that is already catching institutional attention. If you hold XRP or Flare, or you're watching how institutional capital will flow into tokenized assets, this is the moment to be paying attention to. The Flare Drop program has officially concluded. A 36-month journey defined by a governance proposal. Now, most people saw Flare drops as free tokens landing in their wallet, but that's only half the story. The Flare drops were a governance-driven mechanism designed to grow decentralization, reward active participation, and make holders less dependent on centralized exchanges. That's why wrapping your tokens to Flare, wrap Flare, and delegating it to an FTSO provider actually mattered. You weren't just earning, you were helping to secure the network oracles and data systems. And with that bootstrapping mission now complete, the network shifts from distribution to operation. So what exactly is Flare operating today? Flare has evolved from being a regular blockchain into a full stack data and interoperability layer. One built for the coming explosion in tokenized assets and real world data. It's built around three key systems. F assets, enabling trust minimized bridging for assets like XRP, Bitcoin, or Doge into the smart contract universe. FTSO, the Flare Time Series Oracle, a decentralized price feed network that has already proven more resilient than most centralized data providers. And the FDC, the Flare Data Connector, verifying cross-chain events and off-chain web data in a very decentralized way. And what's next? Flare is now exploring verifiable on-chain compute using trusted execution environments, especially allowing privacy-preserved computation for data-driven institutional apps. That is a mouthful, but Flare is doing it with pizzazz and style. That's the kind of infrastructure banks, fintechs, and enterprises need before they bring assets on-chain. Remember to like the video and leave a comment below, and I'll keep bringing you the Flare content mixed with some XRP twist. All right, let's take a look at the numbers behind Flare's growth. Right now, we have seen over 860,000 active addresses on Flare, nearly 500,000 daily transactions, 200 million in total value locked across DeFi, and more than 110 million in stablecoins circulating within the Flare ecosystem. And partnerships with over 150 projects, including Layer 0, Anchor, Centaura, and Figment, and so many other incredible teams and builders across the crypto space. That's not some idle testnet. That's a functioning Layer 1 economy. XRP Fi is the heartbeat of Flare. This is where it loops back to XRP. Flare isn't just another EVM chain. It's become the nerve center for XRP5 or XRP-based DeFi utilities. At this point, more than 90 million FXRP, Flare's trusted minimized XRP representation, have been minted, and about 80% of that FXRP is already locked up into DeFi protocols. We're talking about activations on SparkDex, Kinetic Markets, BlazeSwap, Inuis, Enosis, and Enosis platforms where XRP is finally programmable, tradable, and productive on-chain. And now we're seeing institutional grade products being built around that liquidity. Firelight Finance has launched XRP staking and DeFi coverage tools right on Flare. UpShiftFi introduced the first XRP denominated yield product powered by actively managed vaults. This is XRP Fi becoming real infrastructure, not a concept. The next evolution of XRP's utility is unfolding on Flare. Now let's talk about Flare itself, because the economics have just shifted in a big way. The incentivized supply period is now over. From this point forward, no more Flare drops. Flare distribution and inflation follow only protocol-defined rules. Let's break down what those rules are. Circulating supply sits around 85 billion Flare out of 105 billion total. Annual issuance is now capped at 5 billion, and it only applies to the distributed supply. That means every year, inflation decreases and becomes more predictable, approaching zero over time. So inflation is now bounded, governance approved, and transparent. Here's the kicker: Flare consumption rises with usage. The more activity across the network, F assets, smart contracts, Oracle updates, the more Flare gets used and burned. That's what we call a utility flywheel. Usage, validator activity, higher gas, Flare gets burned, deflation pressure, higher scarcity, stronger incentive alignment. To further strengthen supply, the Flare Foundation is executing a multi-year 2.1 billion Flare burn, started back in late 2024. Roughly 66 million Flare is burned every single month. All of the network transaction fees plus unclaimed rewards are also burned automatically. You can track those burns live on the Flare Explorer and the official burn wallet address. Between controlled issuance and ongoing burns, the supply outlook is finally becoming sustainable. Now, if you're earning from Flare drops, here's what you should know. While the Flare drop rewards are ending, all protocol rewards are going to continue as normal. FTSO delegation rewards for supporting price data accuracy, staking rewards for securing validators and data networks, and F assets or agent rewards for collateralized bridging. The only thing that disappears is an extra bonus layer from the Flare drops. So yes, you'll notice smaller reward totals, but it's all because the network no longer needs to inflate participation artificially. This is what maturity looks like inside of tokenomics. In Q1, the Flare Foundation plans to propose new governance initiatives to enhance sustainability. These include ways to direct protocol fees, like those from F asset systems, back into the ecosystem funding or burn programs, keeping the network deflationary and self-sustaining. The airdrop era has done its job. The governance era begins now. When you zoom out, this is about more than just a token. Flare is becoming part of the middleware layer of the on-chain financial system. The data verification, price assertion, and bridging infrastructure that major institutions will rely on for a tokenized economy. That directly connects to XRP's future, because with XRP providing deep liquidity and Flare delivering data and interoperability, together they form part of the plumbing layer for real-world asset tokenization, payments, and settlement. If you've been waiting to see where XRP fits into institutional DeFi, this is the prototype of that integration. So there it is, a 3-year build we've all been waiting for.
So there's just another use case for XRP. XRP Flare, let's go. Let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think it's a good use of XRP for on-chain liquidity? Do you think it will take off, or do you think it's just another piece of the hype train? I actually do think it's good. I have seen the price of Flare moving in the right direction. Let's check it there. Actually, I don't see Flare on here. That's weird. Okay, yeah, Flare's here. Down 1.6 on the day, down 2.6 in the week, down 2.9 on the month at the 1 cent, and down 62.6% on the year. So let me know. Do you think this is a good for XRP and Flare, the partnership? But let's finish this last video. This is Good Morning Crypto, and we'll be right back. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit your main man up with a super chat, and keep an eye out for the Zebek video later. But happy Friday, and let's get back to it. See you in a couple minutes.
Data. Look at this 2014 bear market. What was happening with the US dollar in blue? Pumping. What was happening in 2018 in this bear market? What was happening with the US dollar? Pumping. What was happening the last bear market, the one that we were still in, even with the higher highs, higher lows? US dollar pumping. What's happening right now? First off, the US dollar is not pumping, and all the ingredients are in play for this thing to keep falling. That is the Trump agenda, to weaken the US dollar. That is one piece of data. Then I want to bring up this one, that is to zoom out and just look at these previous 2 bear markets that we've gone through. Record-breaking quantitative tightening. For the first ever time, quantitative tightening was introduced here. There's the 2018 bear market, liquidity being extracted from the system. It ended here in July, the end of July of 2019. We just ended, record-breaking, because it was even worse this time. Second time ever, we just ended on December 1st. It just ended. We are going to see liquidity catch up to these markets, in my opinion. So that's point number 2. And then point number
successful. And that's exactly what happened after the Telecom Act was passed in 1996. We had a 3-year bull market from 1996 to 1999 where everything related to the internet just went up in value. On average, the internet stocks during that time did a 50x in 3 years. You had a $2 billion asset class reach north of $100 billion in only 3 years' time after regulation was passed. But during that time, there was so much uncertainty. People thought the internet was a fad. It was useless. It's never going to catch on. And here we are today, 1,400 people sitting on the internet right now, just watching this podcast. That is the growth that crypto is about to go through. So when speculators come into this market and they begin placing bets about which projects are going to be most successful, that is when we could see rapid price appreciation for not just XRP, not just Bitcoin, but for any asset that survives in a post-regulatory environment, guys. But I want to hear from you. One's in chat if you think we are in a bull market. Two's in chat if you think 2026 is a bear market. And when I call it a bull market, all I'm talking about is the asset Bitcoin and the assets XRP breaking their previous all-time highs of 126,000. And for XRP, that would be around $3.84. But again, guys, the major topic that I'm going to be diving into for today, David Schwartz put out a really interesting thread on the price of XRP. So I'm going to be deep diving this. I had some time last night and this morning to read it several times, get my thoughts together, and really figure out what is Ripple's former CTO getting at here when he talks about XRP reaching $100 and how speculators will be the ones to get us there. So we're going to break that down. But I wanted to kick off today's episode with the breaking news. President Trump has just picked Kevin Warsh for the new Fed chair. Now, first off, he's very friendly to Bitcoin, and I've got a video that kind of correlates to that. I'm going to show you guys this, where he called Bitcoin the coolest software that allows us to do things we have never done before. But I wanted to kick off the episode with President Trump talking about why the appointment of the new Fed chair is so important, and then we're going to get into how this may impact crypto. Here it is.
We're going to be announcing next week, I think sometime, Scott and Howard and everybody, we're going to be announcing the head of the Fed, who that will be. And it'll be a person that will, I think, do a good job. We're paying far too much interest in the Fed. The Fed rate's too high, unacceptably high. We should have the lowest. And I think you read my statement today. I put out a statement before the meeting, but we should have the lowest interest rate anywhere in the world, because a lot of these countries are successful only because of us, because we allow them to have surpluses. And without surpluses, some of the countries that you most respect financially, that you say, oh, this one, that one, this one, that one, they're successful because we allow them to have surpluses. And we could easily stop that with the powers that we have, but we don't. We took some of it, but we took really just a small portion of it compared to what we could take if we wanted to. We should have the lowest interest rate anywhere in the world. They should be 2 points and even 3 points lower. And if it was, each point is the equivalent of, I would say, $500 billion. So if you got 2 points low, you have $1 trillion in saving. And it's almost, if you call it just a paper expense. You can do it with a pencil. It's not cutting. It's not saying we have to get rid of jobs, or it's just like literally so easy to do. But we have a guy that doesn't want to do it because he's, I think he's politically biased. I really do. I believe he's politically biased because most smart people say it's not even a question.
And there you have it, guys. That's what President Trump had to say yesterday. And of course, today we got the big news that Trump is planning on appointing Kevin Warsh for the next Fed chair. And I'm going to break down this analysis. Now, if you're showing up for the David Schwartz tweet, that's what we're going to get into right after this. I just thought this was big news to kind of cover at the beginning of the episode. I'm also going to play a video from Cathie Wood where she talks about how R3 failed. We're going to get into that, guys, because again, I think this is a very misleading statement from my research and my analysis on the situation. It's not that R3 failed, it's that it evolved. And it's kind of misleading how they're phrasing some of these articles that are circulating right now. But again, that's what we do here on Good Evening Crypto. Hopefully our live chat feels very similar. When you look at the market today, there's a lot of FUD. There's a lot of fear. People are telling us, get out of crypto. It's about to be a bear market. I just disagree. I think that people are getting scared out of this market right before we get the next leg up. And we could see major changes based on the Clarity Act, the new Fed chair, and the election cycle occurring in late 2026. 2026 is not looking like a bear market to me. And Dan Gambardello kind of highlighted that at the beginning of the episode. Now, I do want to give a major thank you. We already passed 250 likes on the show. If you're having fun, you enjoying this content, smash that like button. And the goal for today Can we reach 700 likes during the episode? I think we can do it, guys, because we do have the best community out there. Now, here's what Dan had to say about this new appointment, because I think it applies very well to what we're going to go through later on in the show. First off, he's friendly to Bitcoin, but below is what matters even more. You're going to see a lot of headlines about him being a hawk, but that's not really the correct framing. Warsh isn't anti-rate cuts. He is an anti-quantitative easing and anti-using the Fed balance sheet as a permanent asset price support tool, meaning the Fed propping up the economy through this unrealistic stimulus that we've received since COVID. I see how that doesn't seem to help when half of the bull narrative is always print money. But in his view, that the monetary policy should support productive capital formation and real economic growth instead of just endless financial engineering or printing, this is very good for anyone tracking the business cycle and the crypto thesis. And that was the clip I kicked off today's episode with. Walsh aligns directly with the Trump deficit and their supply side agenda, bring productivity, bringing manufacturing back into the United States. He just doesn't want the Fed running perpetual money printers that inflate everything artificially. Crypto's probably not going to like this in the short term. No money printer equals bad for crypto investors. But long term, if this administration delivers economic growth through deregulation and normalized rates, instead of just a balance sheet expansion and endless printing, that's the way we get a healthy foundation for Bitcoin's next leg up. The money printing crowd doesn't like this pick, but that's probably kind of the point. And I want to hear from you guys. One's in chat if you like this pick. Two's in chat if you don't like this pick, and throw a 3 in there if you just have no idea. But I'm going to show you some statements out of the Fed chair nominee, Kevin Warsh, talking about Bitcoin just a few months ago.
You made reference to Bitcoin, and I thought I heard a little bit of condescension that people are buying Bitcoin and these things.
But doesn't it, Charlie Munger, this is 2 or 3 years before he died, Charlie Munger attacked Bitcoin. He called it evil, in part because it would begin to undermine the Fed's ability to manage the economy.
Or it could provide market discipline, or it could tell the world that things need to be fixed.
Bitcoin does not make you nervous.
Bitcoin does not make me nervous. I can hearken back to a dinner I had here in 2011 with someone who is another guest on your show. I won't say his name. Okay, I just did Mark Andreessen, who showed me the white paper. That was the original white paper. I wish I had understood as clearly as he did how transformative Bitcoin and this new technology would be. Bitcoin doesn't trouble me. I think of it as an important asset that can help inform policymakers when they're doing things right and wrong. It is not a substitute to the dollar. I think it can often be a very good policeman for policy. And if I were to speak more broadly to what did Charlie Munger and others perhaps have in mind, there is a proliferation of securities that go under all sorts of names. Many, if not most of them, are not worth what there might be being traded for. So what did Charlie say, and maybe his pal Warren say? There's the innovators, the imitators, and the incompetents. They're real innovators that are happening in and around that new technology.
Boom. And that's the important part of the clip that I wanted our listeners to understand. For the first time ever, we're going to have a Fed chairman who understands the digital asset class. And a lot of people are asking me, how was grandma's birthday yesterday? It was phenomenal. It was exciting. We went out, we got dinner, we celebrated grandma. And of course, she loved her gift. So that was really great. I did also show her all the comments, you guys, and she was really happy about that. So thank you so much to anybody who commented happy birthday to my grandma yesterday. Trust me, you played an important role in making that day special. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And I am going to get into the David Schwartz thing. Just one last point of context, because gold and silver are pumping right now. I wanted to play this old video of Brad Garlinghouse where he quote unquote nails it on why Bitcoin and XRP destroy gold as a store of value and transfer mechanism. When you think about what's happening with gold and silver, in just the last year, we saw gold add trillions. I believe it was $7 trillion to its market cap. We saw silver add $1.8 trillion to its market cap in just the last few months. This speaks volumes for what can happen in the crypto space, especially when you consider how much smaller these assets are than gold and silver. Silver, for example, I believe is a 3.5, maybe it's even higher, $4 trillion market cap right now. XRP is only $130 billion in total market cap. That means that just a fraction of the liquidity that came into silver could roll over into digital assets, and it could have a massive impact on the value of this entire asset class. It's just one of the reasons I'm so optimistic on these prices eventually reaching euphoria. And I don't just mean a 20%, 30%, 40% pump like we see in other asset classes. I'm talking about the market momentum that we witnessed after the election of Donald Trump, where assets like XRP were going up 400% in a month. That momentum will arise once again. And let's hear what Brad has to say about the correlation between digital assets and gold and silver.
Digital assets broadly are in a position to be more useful than gold as a value transfer and a value store. And I think Ripple has benefited really for two reasons to not have seen XRP have XRP as a more stable digital asset. One is, I think we're really solving a real world use case. It's not just about speculators. It's not just about really, Ethereum has kind of run up on something called ICOs, or initial coin offerings, that there's some regulatory concerns about that. And I think the second thing that has driven it is, I think there really has been a lot of drama about some of the other digital assets. Bitcoin has kind of had a civil war within the Bitcoin community about what the future of the technology looks like. Even within the Ethereum community, you're talking about an asset, or the technology only allows about 16 transactions per second. When we think about what we're doing at Ripple and around payments, we're thinking about thousands and thousands of transactions per second.
There you have it, guys. And I played a video yesterday talking about how people are underestimating just how much money can come into this asset class. $50 for XRP, very realistic if you think about the total amount of volume that's going to be migrating onto the network. Now, remember, we are going to get into the topic right after this video, where David Schwartz tweeted out yesterday talking about a $100 XRP. And we're going to have to go through this full thread to kind of give some context, because I want our listeners to really understand what's being said here. What I think David Schwartz is doing is he's tampering expectations for how XRP can reach these higher price targets. And we're going to get into that. But what did Brad just say? Some of these networks, they only do 16 transactions per second. The XRP ledger was built for the largest financial players in the world to all have a unified ledger where they can transact 24/7 and instantaneously. That is the inevitable end game for the products that we discuss on this channel. HBAR, Chainlink, XRP, these networks creating the new financial system together and migrating a lot of the traditional systems that exist today, these slow, expensive, outdated banking protocols, putting them on blockchains, expanding their global reach. And
so again, we got another price prediction. So what do you think? Are you with the David Schwartz price prediction at $100 XRP, or the $1,000 XRP, the $1,500, the $500? Let me know where you guys are at, and happy Friday. I guess we'll play some more of this video, then shut it down. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit your main man up with a super chat. I appreciate you all. Stay warm, and let's finish the video.
Making them more efficient, that is the inevitable end game. But there's a process to get there. Regulation, adoption, speculation, all of these different things have to play out. And eventually we could be looking at a radically different price target for XRP. We did almost pass 400 likes. Shout out to you guys. If you're excited and you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. We're going to play one more clip, and then we're diving into the David Schwartz thread.
What people don't realize here, when people say that XRP cannot go to 10 trillion, 20 trillion, 100 trillion, and they can't flip Bitcoin, well, let me tell you something, and I would like to know how you're going to argue against this one. The Bank of England is one central bank out of 170 central banks. There's 170 to 180 central banks in the world. We know that the Bank of England is a paid customer of Ripple for over 6 years now. We know Bank of England, and we'll settle with XRP. Same for the Federal Reserve, and same for the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, and majority of central banks, all central banks. We know they're going to settle cross-border through XRP. The Bank of England, is one central bank out of 180 central banks that will be using XRP, and it does more volume in one day, the Bank of England, than Bitcoin does in a whole year.
Yep.
And this is one central bank. There's 170 to 180 central banks in the world. Not all big like the Bank of England. The Bank of England does more volume in one day than Bitcoin does in a whole year. And it's going to use XRP to settle transactions, and it's Their CBDC is being built on the CBDC, the private CBDC platform that Ripple has that allows central banks to build CBDCs on the XRP ledger. These are private CBDC ledgers that they're using to build CBDCs. And when it comes to settling cross-border, they have to use the XRP public ledger. They have to touch a public ledger. And the Bank of England does more volume in one day than Bitcoin does in a whole year. And this is one central bank. So don't tell me that XRP can't go to $50. If you're saying it can't, okay, you don't know the facts. You haven't done your research. And it's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person. But when it comes to XRP, if you think XRP can't hit $10 or $50, you have not done your research.
This is why I brought him on. This is exactly why I brought him on.
Well, facts are facts, right? It's just that I can't, again, I'm not writing in stone that's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not writing in stone that's going to happen. But to say that it can't is absolutely ridiculous. You know, to learn more and build.
There you have it, guys. I thought that was a really valuable clip as we go through this next topic in the thread. This is what David Schwartz had to say yesterday. So again, I feel like to give the correct context, we're going to want to go through the entire thread here. So bear with me as we work our way down to what David Schwartz had to say about a $100 XRP. And is this an impossible dream, or is this a reality for the XRP community? This person said, I've always loved the original version of the XRP ledger, creating a global exchange where you can hold and trade anything of value. Arthur Brito says it's obvious, the XRP ledger over XRP. It's all about the network and the quality of the ecosystem, from quality of assets to great apps that make all these possible and invisible to end users. Both XRP and the XRP ledger should be hidden plumbing of the real world economy, consumer and institutional finance. The conclusion, start using the XRP ledger, start interacting with it. Don't focus only on XRP. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. So Awesomeness, Wow Awesomeness on Twitter commented, the value of XRP is less important than the spread. Can you please elaborate? Less important to whom? Sure, if I buy one XRP worth 10 US dollars, I use it to earn a profit on the spreads. I care about the immediate profit I'm making, not XRP gaining value. But that does not mean the price is not important for people who bought earlier, or even to the person who's using it to make an immediate profit. Unless he means that at some point, everybody will just know XRP will not go up in value, and therefore the only thing anyone could care about is using it to profit from spreads. But that can happen with XRP at $10 or $1,000. No way to know that today, right? So what exactly does it mean with prices less important than spread? Well, here's where David Schwartz jumps in with a really valuable comment. And then we start talking about that $100 XRP. Let me just fix my camera here so I'm not in the way. Here's what David had to say on the matter, guys. What he means is that if you don't care about XRP at all and are just trying to, say, convert dollars to euros, then whether you would use XRP as a bridge currency will depend more on the liquidity of XRP than on its current price. Then the Ripple is good, XRP is shit. That's a bad username there. Commented, David, please say to your XRP supporters that the price of XRP can't and won't go to $50 to $100. Do that because of your pure conscience. So many people will get poor if they invest in XRP. Well, live chat, I'm going to ask you a quick question. One's in chat if you believe XRP can ever reach $100. I'm not talking about this year. I'm not talking about next year. If at any point you think XRP reaches $100, throw a 1 in chat. If you think XRP will always be below $100, throw a 2 in chat. And then
So let me know what you guys think. Do you think XRP can reach $100? Put 100 in the chat or put the fire emojis. Just trying to keep current here. I do think it's going to surpass $100, but it's weird. Unless I'm not following this correctly. He's saying it can, but then he said also it won't pass $10. So it's kind of weird. It's like he's saying different things on different days or something. But let me know what you think in the chat. Do you think XRP can reach $100?
I'm going to ask you that same question after we go through this thread. This is what David said in response to that. So again, this guy asked David to say, tell your listeners XRP will never reach $50 to $100. Here's what David said. I don't feel comfortable saying something like that. Well, I don't think it's likely. I didn't think it was likely XRP would ever reach 25 cents. Now, that's a statement that caught a lot of investors off guard, guys. And I talked about this for a long time. The value of XRP in this very moment is still speculative. a lot of the value that's been driven onto the XRP ledger is retail investors like ourselves betting on the future volume and the future trading that's going to happen on the XRP ledger that will inevitably increase the value. That's really what David is getting into during this entire thread, explaining to people how speculation is once again the most important thing for XRP investors. So again, he stated, I didn't think it was likely that XRP would ever reach even 25 cents. I started selling XRP at 10 cents because it seemed insane. I remember when Bitcoin hitting $100 seemed like an impossible dream. So obviously, David is talking about trading all the way back in 2016 when XRP hit 10 cents for the first time, but he's drawing the correlation to when Bitcoin hit $100, and that seemed like it was impossible. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, and we're going to spend a lot of time on this one. David elaborated in this long thread, got nearly 660,000 views in less than 24 hours. And here's what David had to say on the price of XRP. But I will say this, if many rational people believed that there was a 10% chance XRP would hit $100 within a few years, they definitely wouldn't be selling very much today, much less $10. So basically what David is saying in this really short thread is that if people believe the price of XRP is going to hit $100, then they're not going to sell it at $10, and they're definitely not going to sell it at $1.80. Those with that belief, sorry guys, I had to take a sip of water. Or coffee, I should say. Those with that belief would quickly buy up most of the XRP because they value it more highly than those without that belief. And soon, the supply of XRP would be well below $10. That would dry up. So he's saying even just the belief from rich people and large investors that XRP would eventually hit $100, that is more than enough to drive XRP above 10 because so many speculators would just be buying nonstop below that $10 price target because everything below that is at least a 10x in value. That the current trading price is well below $10 shows that there aren't very many people who think it has a 10% chance of hitting $100 within a few years, with enough confidence to put their money where their mouth is. So David is saying there's a lot of talk out there about people thinking it could hit $100, but the big money doesn't feel that way because the bets have not been placed. So anyone saying otherwise is not telling the truth. And I would add, or they're just not rich enough to impact the XRP price chart, right? Like if a guy like me thinks XRP is going to hit $100 and I put every dollar I ever earned into XRP on exchanges, that's not going to move the price at all. So I'm not sure that last statement there really is 100% truthful, but I understand the ideology of where he's going. You can do that same math yourself with different prices, different percentages, and different time frames. My personal belief is that most cryptocurrency prices are in fact rational most of the time and actually reflect a reasonable analysis of their potential future prices and the probabilities associated with them. I also personally believe that the most significant crypto bull runs were due to the unpredictable external changes. So he's talking about markets moving the price of the asset. Now, people were not happy with this response. And I like this Tina, I think that's how you pronounce the name. This SpongeBob meme was pretty funny. The XRP community saw this tweet and they're like, what is David really trying to get at here? Well, here's my take, guys. And I want to hear from the live chat. One's in chat if you think this is bullish. Two's in chat if you think this is bearish, and put a 3 in chat once again if you just have no idea. If you're reading this analysis and going, I'm not even sure what David's really trying to get at here. So I'm going to try to answer some of those questions. And I did leverage an AI tool in the background. So the question I asked is, guys, what does this mean, right? Does David think XRP is never going to reach $100? Well, AI said no, and my analysis was also a resounding no. That's not what David is getting at. Although the XRP community may read it this way, I think he's taking a completely different approach. So David Schwartz is not saying that XRP will never reach $100. He's being very careful and probabilistic about his wording. He explicitly reuses a call to all-time high prices like $50 to $100. He calls that impossible, pointing to his own past misjudgments, meaning he sold XRP at 10 cents and he thought 25 cents would be insane. So remember that, guys. David Schwartz didn't say, XRP, I never thought it would reach 10 cents. And, when it did, let me actually rephrase this. What David Schwartz is really saying here is that he didn't even believe XRP would reach 25 cents. So when it did, he was shocked by that success. He also said, I didn't think Bitcoin would reach $100. But when it did, David was shocked by that success. So the same thing can be said here for the XRP price analysis, where he's saying, I was selling XRP at 10 cents, 25 cents even seemed insane. here we.
What up, Hitter All Day? What's going on with you, fam? What up, BTM? No, XRP will never reach $50 and definitely not higher. The most I could see it going to is $10, and that's pushing it. All right, Hitter All Day. Thanks for that information. Let's finish this video real quick, and I'll be back.
We are at $2, far outpacing David's expectations. So what he's saying is more nuanced and grounded in the reality of how the market works. The current price, which is well under $10 for his example, reflects that the market as a whole currently believes XRP's future probabilities are way less than $10. That's just logic, right? If the XRP price was $8, that would mean a lot of speculators think the value of the protocol will eventually be north of 10. But because we're below $2, David's rational and logical thinking draws him to the conclusion that there's a lot of people out there who don't think XRP is going to reach $10, the same way David thought XRP wasn't even going to reach 10 cents. If a meaningful number of rational, well-capitalized people, should basically just say rich people, genuinely assessed and believe that XRP would hit $100, then they would be aggressively buying the asset right now and absorbing all of the available supply on exchanges and OTC desks. Sellers at lower prices would also dry up fast because believers would value it at a much higher value than $10. Since none of this is happening at these current market during these current market circumstances, it shows very few people are actually putting serious money behind a specific number where they believe a $100 price target is possible. So again, what is David really saying here? His price targets and his expectations have already been surpassed when it comes to Bitcoin and the XRP price chart. What I think he's saying is that when you look at what XRP is doing today, it could easily far outpace the expectations of those people who think we're at a market top. So he's talking about the opportunity and what are the catalysts that are going to drive more liquidity into the XRP ledger. For me, it's very obvious what David is saying here. It's not about utility. It's about speculation driving more liquidity into this market and making this asset a much higher price. Now, I want to hear from you guys. One's in chat if you believe David Schwartz is indicating XRP is overvalued. Two's in chat if you think XRP is undervalued. So I really believe this. Autumn just commented, Abs, can you play this video of the XRP army in concert? I can't see the link, Autumn, but if you tag me with that, tag me in that tweet on Twitter. And as long as it's not copyrighted, I will get into the tweet before the end of the episode. But that's my take, guys. I really think a lot of people are approaching this the wrong way. They're saying, David doesn't think we can hit $10. David doesn't think we can hit $100. David said at the beginning of this tweet, he never thought XRP would reach 10 cents, never mind $10. And we already far outpaced those expectations. So that's my take. I think what David is saying here is, again, it's a possibility that XRP is gearing up to far outpace the expectations of thousands of retail investors out there. And that sets people like us up for major success because we're holding this token. We're betting on the asset prices in the future. Now, guys, I do want to give a massive shout out and thank you. We got 3,500 live listeners here, over 1,600 watching on YouTube. I want to hear from you guys. Were you disappointed by this? Were you excited by this? We're only 5 likes away from passing 500 likes. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. Help us reach our goal. Can we pass 700 likes during the episode? Anything is possible, guys. Anything is possible in the Matrix. But I think that this analysis is very solid. I think what David is really trying to get at here is he's tampering expectations for what it's going to take to drive the XRP price forward. And it's not about regulation. It's not even about utility. It is about people speculating on what the future price could be. And now I'm going to give you an update from the SEC and CFTC yesterday, where they talk about the regulatory purgatory that crypto is in today.
So shout out to Good Evening Crypto. And it's your main man BTM signing off for today. Thanks for joining. And we'll get the ZBC in live up for later. But that's pretty interesting with the XRP information. And they might be right about the investors. But I suspect once the Clarity Act is passed and XRP started being used more, people will FOMO in. Like you mentioned, people might not be involved with XRP now, but there are a lot of companies and a lot of retail and a lot of institutional investors that are. But we'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell. But as always, remember, let's get back to the money, guys, and stay dangerous. It's your main man, BTM, signing out. Peace out, and see you soon. Same bat channel, same bat time. Have a good Friday, and continue to diamond hand. Miner out.